Okay, I was going to go out metal detecting today, but as you can see, I don't think so. So instead, we're going to cover my equipment and basic metal detecting gear. So come on back inside where it's warm.
Holy smokes, it's cold outside. Let's sit here for a second and warm back up, and then we'll go in the other room and talk about, so you want to become a metal detectorist. Hello. Hope you all had a chance to warm up by the fire. The purpose of this video is really just to test out my new camera gear. I have been using it handheld, and I have this little mini gorilla pod thing that you can wrap around trees or whatnot. But today we're using the head mount. So look, Mom, no hands. What do you need to go metal detecting? You need two things. You don't need all this stuff. You need a metal detector, any kind that beeps, that any source of metal will work. You don't need to spend the extra money to get the fancy things like this. Is kind of fancy. It's got a display on it and tells you how deep it is and all that neat stuff. You'll also notice a lot of my gear is marked with this orange fluorescent tape. I find that very handy for when you set down these small items and you forget to put them back on your belt because you're in the middle of something. If you need to go back and find them. All right, so besides a metal detector, the only other real thing you need is something to remove your object from the ground with. Whether it's a fancy leash digger like this, sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong, leash. If it's some trowel you've gotten from your garden, depending on the surfaces. I would recommend gloves is probably the next item you would need. These are Kevlar lined and they help your fingers from getting cut on glass, sharp metal objects, and anything else you may be digging out of the ground that you didn't know was there. But let's quickly go through what I take with me on a typical hunt. I don't take all this with me per se on my body, but this is the gear I keep in my box here. And I will choose and pick depending on where I'm at for what I need. Now, this is just a milk crate, but you can see I've actually lined the bottom here so that it's not hollow. This helps keep the dirt inside the box and not in my vehicle. With that, if you're going to do any sand beach hunting, some people like to have one with a shovel. That was just too cumbersome for me. But if you're going to dig in the sand, those are really, really helpful. I also recommend my Pro Pointer. It reduces digging time by at least half. If you've got one of these, even though you can pinpoint with your detectors, this will save a lot of time. And I really recommend you get some kind of a pinpointer. Shovel. Now here's the thing. If I'm in a park or someplace that may be intimidated by the use of my Predator tool, I will take the little hand digger. I do not take both. It's one or the other. I've also duct taped the heck out of the box that it came shipped in, and that also helps keep the dirt out of my car and in the box. I didn't fully seal it here. You can always open it back up to clean the dirt out, but it's pretty easy. That's, for lack of a better term, the included carrying case. Now this particular Predator shovel does come with feet pads. They're separate and you only get one. So if you want two, you got to buy two. They don't come in pairs. It's kind of silly, but that's the way he sells them. I don't use it because this darn thing weighs as much as that shovel, believe it or not. Maybe not, but two of them would. That shovel weighs in at just over 3 pounds. So let's see here. Also, my belt I wear more like a gun holster. I don't actually loop it through any of my belt loops. I just simply put it around my waist. This is a carrying case for a shovel, a collapsible shovel, and I use that as my goodie find bag. What do I use for my trash finds? A repurposed 5-gallon paint bucket. I've put stripes on, so when I set it in the field, I know where it's at. Once I get enough junk on my person, I'll go there and dump it into the junk finds. I've discovered, let me move this out of the way since we've talked about metal detectors. Spare batteries. Very important to have spare batteries. I got spares for my probe pointer, spares for my actual metal detector. I keep the orange tape on me as well. Never know when that might come in handy. This rag here I use for wiping off my tools and personal items. This rag down here is just a regular bandana that I will use for my dirt. So I can save my dirt on top of the grass and fill the hole back in very easily. Knee pads. I found when using this longer shovel, I don't actually need the knee pads. Only when I'm down on my hands and knees using the smaller shovel or trowel do I need knee pads. And also I found I only need one, because I seem to only kneel on my right knee. So it was very hard finding a shop that sells 2 right-legged knee pads and not a right and a left. These are both rights, so they will last twice as long. Haha, joke. What else we got here? Oh, paracord. Never know when you might need to tie something up, so I do keep paracord on me at all times as well. I don't use it that much, so I just keep it on the bottom. This was a mistake, but I bought it, I like it, so I kept it. What I really wanted was this. I don't know if you can tell, maybe from this angle, they look almost identical. But they're not. This is actually a brick mason's hammer, and this is actually a geological pick. I use this for the rougher soils. Because here in Georgia, we got a lot of mineralization, a lot of hard clay with just tons and tons of rocks in it. So if I'm in that type of area, I will put it on my belt. This one was a mistake, but I'm a guy, I like tools, so I did not return it. Also, I will carry business cards. Just in case I need to get permission on a property from a homeowner and they want some kind of ID. It's got my cell number on it, which I just got blanked out. This knife I used to use, but there's a lot of problems nowadays with using knives in parks and whatnot. So that's where I came in with the pickaxe idea. The water bottle. This is to remind me to bring water. You only make that mistake once, let me tell you. Also, I'll sometimes fill it up with water in case I have any finds in the field that I want to just dunk in there and start pre-soaking. Get a good, instead of trying to actually scrape them or rub them, bad thing. And with that, I believe we've discussed all the tools I have here. So, thank you for watching, and I hope this gave you some ideas.